And today we have somebody from San Antonio. She went to the University of Texas. Now she's the head coach of Texas A&M San Antonio softball team. Want to welcome now Nicole. I'm gonna say Nicole. I won't butcher your last name because if I try to say it, I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna screw it all up.
It's o it's
So,
it's you're all good, all good.
okay. So we want to welcome Nicole to the show. Nicole, if you want to, say your last name so I can at least know how to pronounce it.
Yes, it's Dufour. Dufour.
Dufour.
Yeah,
Okay, kind of
yeah,
how exactly how it looked,
yeah.
right? Okay, want to welcome Nicole Dufour to the show. So before we start, Nicole, I have this guy, his name Chad Steers, and he messaged me, and he was like, "Hey, I think the Nicole lady, the one you gonna interview tonight, I think she was a coach with his dad. So he told me to tell you hello."
Oh, that's great. Yes, I love the Steers family. His dad is one of the reasons why I'm here today, and so was not. Oh, I didn't want to get emotional.
Yeah, I know. Rest in peace to him.
But I attribute a lot to him in my coaching journey, and just even after I moved, back from Louisiana here to San Antonio, I was still kept in contact with him, and he was always excited to hear what was going on with my coaching life, and so
Mm,
the Steers family is near and dear to my heart. So yes.
no. Yes, Chad, he became a very good friend for us. And, at the younger age group, he throws the best tournaments we ever go to throughout the year. So, Chad, want to give a shout out to you, RP to your dad. Um, want to start off. Want to talk about your upbringing and what sports you played growing up.
Well, growing up, I played everything. I was pretty much a tomboy. I was the first grandchild, and my mom had four brothers.
Mm,
She was older, and so her brothers were within 10 years of my age when I was
okay.
born. My dad was really big into football, so I grew up playing everything. I even did a couple of years of pee wee football here in San Antonio.
Oh wow.
Yes. And so did in high school, did everything: volleyball, basketball, track, softball. And actually I was actually probably better at basketball than I was softball, to be honest. Yes.
Okay, okay. And at what age did you decide, like, you know what, I want to be a coach?
Actually, I decided that, and I can tell you, I was 18 and I was in college. And so when it came time for me to choose college and kind of look at playing sports at the next level, I had some injuries, some really bad ankle injuries in high school. And so when it came down to was to take a full academic ride to the University of Texas in Austin to their business school, or to go and play collegiate sports. And being the first in my family to go to college and even get that opportunity, I made the decision to kind of just focus on the academic piece. But then when I was in college, it was like I really miss sports, and what how am I going to get back involved? What am I going to do? And so when I was a freshman in college, I started actually coaching little league softball, and that's kind of where it all started. And as I went through college, I kind of stayed with the little league, and I was like, once I graduated, I was like, you know what, I want to make this my career. So that's kind of the epiphany that I had. I thought I could kind of get away from the athletic side, but didn't happen.
So, like, the injuries, like, how did you, just stay focused on even any type of career, knowing that it kind of hurt you from playing sports at the next level?
I had like a really, I think one of the biggest things, because being a first generation to go to college, I really had like the family support. Like saying that I have younger siblings, and it was kind of one of those things where I wanted to set that example. And that's one of the biggest things for me. And though since I've graduated, I have my sister who's graduated with her bachelor's, my brother with her bachelor's, and then another set of siblings that are currently um, in college right now, seeking their undergrad degree. So I think that was probably the biggest motivator for me, is wanting to make that change for my family and set that into play.
No, okay. Yes, a nice big family there.
Yeah.
Like being from Texas, um how did you get into like coaching in Louisiana at a high school in Louisiana?
So what I did was, I was looking at the area of where I was going to move, and it was the Baton Rouge area. And then I just
Okay.
started looking at some local programs. And one of the programs that jumped out to me was one of the programs that had just come off of winning the state championship 5 years in a row. They were basically a perennial powerhouse in Louisiana, still are. Have won the state championship within the several past several years, also. And it's like, man, that seems like a great place to try to get my feet wet at the high school level. So that was at Santa Ma High School, and just kind of met with their head coach at the time, Scott Nielsen, and he took a chance on me. And that's kind of, again, he's one that I attribute as well, because it was him giving me that first opportunity at the high school level, with such a program that was not only well known in the state of Louisiana, but actually nationally ranked, via Max Preps as well, as one of the top programs in the nation. So to be able to learn from him, coach alongside him, and then you couple that with coaching select ball with Billy Steers, who basically was the founder of Fast Pitch, in Louisiana. It kind of helped me tremendously grow as a coach.
Okay. And so you coach select at what ages did you coach in the select softball?
So select, I coached 12U, 14U, and 16U.
Okay. So you coach, that age group and then high school, which is, kind of
Yeah.
14, 16 you, and then now you're coaching college. Which
Yes.
one do you enjoy the most?
Um, you know what? They, they all have their positives, their pros and their cons.
Mhm.
I think right now, collegiately with my players, it's just helping them, develop and kind of, hey, this is my career. And then I think the biggest thing for me now is that I not only get to see the softball side of it, but I get to see the life after softball, which makes me really proud. I have several players, one that just graduated, and she actually got a position as a junior accountant for Valero. So she's got a great adult job. Another
Mhm.
that got into nursing school, and she made the dean's list. And so it's those things that excite me, to where I can see once my players leave my program, I kind of feel like, I just played a small role in helping them get to that next big step in life. And that's kind of the exciting piece, especially now, because I get to see that. I get to see what happens once kind of softball is out of the picture.
Mhm. Yeah, and then that's what most coaches I talk to. That's the thing that they like. They like, I'm here to teach them softball, yes, but I'm also here to teach them life, like a everyday life, a life outside of softball. So I'm pretty sure seeing girls, do that and go on to make dean's list and get these jobs at a big company like Valero. I'm pretty sure that make you feel really, really good.
Yes.
So what's the process of getting the coaches jobs, like a high school coach and then as in and a college coach? What's the process into getting those jobs?
I think one of the biggest things I think that helped me was, I know some people kind of just want to get right into it and go into that high
Mm,
school, but I've actually like coached, and I've actually taught at all levels. So I've done like elementary PE, and I've coached like middle school basketball, volleyball, and track as well. And so I've kind of done it all, and so I feel like taking that first step and just getting into that little league where they need, that's the biggest need. I would say that's the biggest need is the little league side of it, of when they're first growing and first getting into it. So I think definitely getting things like that on a resume is great. I think also too, even if some players are like, well, I may not have the playing experience that they're looking for, but if you have that coaching experience, and then even now, I have several people coming like, "Hey, do you mind if I shadow? Can I get some volunteer hours with you?" Just reaching out and not being afraid to ask. I mean, what is the worst thing that you get told is no? I mean, I
Yeah,
also
right.
that before. So I think one of the biggest things for the process is, find an area where you're interested in, and then find people and reach out and shoot an email. Go, hey, ask if you can come to a practice, and just not be afraid to kind of just jump right out there and put yourself right out there just to see, because for every like three no's that you get, I'm pretty sure someone's going to say yes. And I think that hits home for me because, again, Coach Nielsen at Sandoval, he said yes to me. He took a chance on me. So
Mhm.
that's kind of always my general advice to people looking to get into the coaching realm.
Okay, that's yeah. I've heard, and this is kind of like the same, like with me. So right now I'm kind of pretty much doing it for fun. I like hearing the different stories of everyone. But eventually, hopefully I can get to the point where I can start asking for sponsors. And I was talking to one guy that he can write sponsor letters and stuff, and he was like, "Man, you might get 15 no's, but then one person gonna tell you yes, and that might be the yes you need."
Yes.
And it's like you said, like, I mean, what's the worst they can say is no? And it's like crap, but I don't want to hear no. Like,
It's all yeah. It's kinda like the recruiting process, right? You get some no's. We get players that tell us no, "Hey, it's not kinda what I'm looking for." So, yeah, it's kinda all part of it.
No, okay. No, yeah. So yeah, I mean it's just tough. I mean, but just me being me, like it's like so like when I go out to the fields, the different tournaments, and my intentions are going to try to get an interview from every coach possible. But then like I kind of like don't want to bother them. I see them doing this and doing that, so I'm like, man, if I go up, they probably gonna tell me no, not right now. Then I'm gonna be like, whatever. I'm not saying so. I'm like, you know what? Then the tournament's over, and I might have one interview, and I'm like,
Yeah.
see, that was a waste. So, what has been your toughest moment to date as being from being a coach?
In all honesty, it's nothing actually like skill related. I think the toughest moment has been kind of just trying to find that, in these career paths, and that I've taken, and changes that I've made within my career. I think the toughest moment has just been trying to have that work life balance. I have a set of twins, a daughter and a son. And they're 11, and I'm a very driven person. So when it comes to coaching, like, I'm all in, but I want to be all in for my kids as well. And so I think it's just kind of being a little bit more self-aware to ensure that yes, I'm a coach, but I don't want them to, when they talk about their mom, to say, oh, my mom's just a coach. I want them to be like, my mom's a coach and she's a great mom, kind of situation.
Mhm.
So I think, I mean, when they were born in January, I was back hosting a high school tournament in February, and then they had a like a playpen in the hospitality room kind of situation. So they've grown up at the ball fields, and I think as they've gotten older, and things like that, is just ensuring that I make sure to take time for them and to be present for them. I'm present for a lot of other people's kids, but I need to also make sure that I remember, like, hey, I have to be present for mine as well. And
Mhm.
they've made a lot of sacrifices. I mean, they've moved from Louisiana to, even though we have family here and I'm originally from here, and my mom's here in San Antonio, my dad's in Austin, not too far away. It's still, a thing. It's still, yeah, we're still moving from one state to another. So I
Mhm.
think that's probably been the biggest struggle, is making sure that I keep that in check. I definitely don't want to get so career focused and focus on my players, especially since they know that I'm available to them 24/7. I want to make sure that, yeah, we keep that balance and we take some time to, hey, I'm a mom. I'm going to be at my son's football game and I'm going to be at my daughter's dance recital, and this is what we're going to do.
Okay. That's good. I'm from Louisiana. Right now I live in Houston, but I'm originally from Louisiana. So I know a little bit about, the area. Not much like in the sports because I kind of moved when I was like 7, 8 years old.
Okay.
So by the time that it was time to get into the sports and all that, I was in Texas already. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm from Louisiana, so I'm from a small town, Lake Arthur, Louisiana. It's like by Jennings. It's like an hour and a half from Baton Rouge.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Yeah, yeah, but it's probably as big as like your house, the whole town. It's a small town. So, we talk about, your toughest moment. So, what has been your most memorable moment to date, from coaching?
I think my most memorable moment from coaching, and again, there's been a lot of people that have been involved in my career, and I think one of the things about my time at A&M San Antonio, was that when I got officially hired, I got hired during March of 2020, so
Mm.
right
Oh.
when COVID happened, and through COVID, we were able to get a team. And then in the spring of 21, we competed. And I think there was still a lot of restrictions going on, still a lot of COVID um, policies and procedures that everyone had to follow. And that included, attending games. And I think one of the most memorable moments to this date was my very first game as a collegiate coach. My sister, who lives in Houston, we played the University of St. Thomas there in Houston,
Mhm.
and fans were not allowed. But I'm coaching the game, and where they play their field, there's like a track, and there I see my sister like sitting on the cushions from the high jump, like like you can see. And so, we came away with a win, and just to kind of know that I had that support, and she was kind of representing all of our family. And
Mhm.
yeah, that was probably one of the most memorable moments for me to this date. So yeah.
No, okay. So you're there in San Antonio and you have like I guess you can say a cross town. I don't know if they're a rival or what they call it there on the west side of San
Yeah.
Antonio over there. Um just how is it playing OLLU, the national champions?
I think it's one of those things where we it's something that we seek out. We want to play
Mhm.
the best that we can. And, every year, we we go at them as hard as we can. And that doesn't, it does, they could be 0 and 50 and they can be 50 and 0, and we're still going to go
Mhm.
at them as hard as we can. I think, it's been great for the city of San Antonio. It's been great for softball, and it's been great for our athletic conference. And so we're super proud of those guys and all the accomplishments that they've made. But yeah, no, we're still gonna try to take them down here. And so
What's a you said you're a mom, you have twins and other kids, and then like you said you're a softball coach. What's a typical day like for you, but during the season?
So during the season, what I would say is, we're in our fall preseason right now. So usually getting up at 6:30. One of the best things now is that they are in middle school and they can take the bus to school. So I'm up at 6:30. They're usually up by 6:45. We're both out the door at 7:15. I'm heading to practice. And they're heading to the bus stop for school. And then we have practice at 8:30, usually followed by strength and conditioning. So we practice for about 2.5 hours, and then have strength and conditioning. And then my assistant coach and I, and volunteer assistant, we alternate like study hall Um, throughout the week as well. So usually because we practice in the morning, I'm able to kind of get in, get everything that I need to do, and then if I'm watching film or doing any kind of admin work, I'm able to bring that home, and that way I'm here when they get home, and then kind of get dinner going. And then right now my son's in football, so it's kind of like 5:45. Hey, homework is done, put your pads on, let's get things going. And then usually while he's at practice, if I'm not kind of trying to do a little workout, and when I say little, like 15 minutes, while he's practicing, then I'm usually sitting in my car on my computer going over film practice plans, or just breaking down some bullpen things that we did for our pitchers and catchers. Yeah.
Okay, that's whew, man, I almost broke a sweat. But like that's tough. That shows that you're dedicated. You matter make sure your family right, and at the same time you make sure your team is right as well. Because man, that sounds like a lot. That's
Yeah.
that sounds like a lot. I don't have to make practice plans and all this. I have to work and then get the kids to practices and stuff like that. But yeah, you do a little bit more than I do, so I salute you to that.
No, I tell you what, my son is doing Taifa football here in Texas, and he's
Mhm.
practicing like 4 days a week, and they have a Zoom session, and so it is no joke.
Oh wow.
I'm
and and
like,
he's 11.
next year or what?
Ooh man, he got to make it to the pros or something.
Yeah. So it is no joke, but he gets he both of my son and daughter get it a little bit, because when you're a coach's kid, there's a certain set of expectations that we
Mhm.
have.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that definitely for sure.
Okay. So let's say you have players, and they having trouble at certain things. It could be academically or on the field. What advice do you give them those during those crucial moments?
Well, the academic side is probably one of our biggest areas of focus, because if you're struggling, if you're on scholarship, you're at risk of losing your scholarship, and not
Mhm.
just your eligibility. But one of the biggest things for us is we want players to come to us, and we want them to graduate and graduate on time. We want to set you up. And so if you're struggling, and we always tell them, like, communicate. Let us know. We're here to help you. Yes, you're coaches, and we want, your softball coaches, but we, want to make sure you have a good handle on all the resources, like our university and things like that. So, oh, did I lose you?
Yeah, you went black.
Oh, sorry. There you go. So our biggest thing is we want to just make sure that that all of our players are aware of all the resources and all the things that we do have at our university. If they are struggling academically. Now, when it comes to the softball side, I am lucky to have an assistant coach and then also a volunteer assistant, and those guys are probably two of the most selfless guys around. I'm really lucky to have them on my staff, because one of the things that we also kind of share with our players is that all you have to do is ask. If you want extra reps, if you miss practice because you have class and you want to take some more ground balls, if your reads are off, if you're hey, maybe I'm not sitting on an outside pitch enough, just whatever it is, all you have to do is ask. And if we can't help you, like, right after practice, we can definitely set up a time to where we can work with you on those specific things. But again, it goes back to the communication. And we tell our players, we are here for you, whether it's academically or athletically. And so on the athletic side, if it's not something that we can do like right away, we'll set up a time that week to get whatever your concern is addressed and talk about some things. Maybe it's like, hey, can we sit down and look at some film? Maybe it's like, hey, let's get out on the field. But everyone on our roster knows that all they have to do is ask. You're not going to get a no. If it's not a yes, hey, let's do it right now. It's, hey, let's set it up for this date, this time. I can either meet you before practice, after practice, or something like that.
Okay, okay. I don't know. Did your camera go out?
No, it's still on. Is it still there?
Okay. On my side, it's
Because I can see you. Can you see me?
no. I can't. That's all I was asking.
Oh no, sorry.
Okay, no, you good. I don't know why.
Good. Yeah, I can see like both of us.
Oh, that's yeah. I can't see. Mm, okay, let me see what I can do here. Okay. Uh, I don't know. It's I don't know why it's black on my end. I can only see me, but
Okay.
oh, we'll keep on going. What's some hidden drills that you have? Say girls are struggling, maybe dropping their hands, casting out. What's some drills that you have for those specific struggles?
Wha Actually, one of the biggest things for us, and it's something that we do now. We're doing it now in the fall. We kind of work from the ground up, and so a lot of times when we see girls who are casting, one of the things with that is because they're kind of just trying to muscle the ball. They're just trying to use their upper body. And so we kind of do a lot of lower half isolation to where they can really get down in their legs, and feel that lower half and feel that coil and fire on the lower half. And then just kind of letting the hands come through, instead of like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and stay stagnant with my lower half. And I'm just going to go ahead and try to use my upper body as much as possible to try to hit this ball as far as I can. So that's one of the biggest things is when, especially in the fall, we start from the ground up doing a lot of lower half isolation and then kind of work from there, work our way up to the hands, because you want a good solid base. Once you have that good solid base, then
Mhm.
you can start kind of working your way up the ladder. And so we found, especially with the casting side of it, when they're not trying to, um, again, just utilize just their arm strength to hit balls, it works a lot better.
No, okay. So when you're writing your lineup, how do you go about writing your lineup? And throughout the season, if you have changes, like what are the reason for the changes on offense and then on defense as well?
One of the things I think we look at, is we have to see who our opponent is and what kind of pitcher do they have. And so sometimes if we have kids, who can both play defensively really well, then we'll look, at kind of what pitch they hit the best. Like, are they better on the outer half? Are they better on the inner half? Are they better at hitting drop balls? Can they, um, this pitcher we know is going to throw a lot high in the zone, but it's not really consistent. Can they see that and kind of hold back from biting on it kind of situation?
Hmm.
So a lot of it comes from kind of just breaking down our opponent's pitchers first, and then seeing, okay, who in our personnel is the best suited to face that particular pitcher, especially when we get into conference and, like a team like Olu, we face them 4 times. So, hey, what's going to give us, against their pitching? What's going to give us the best offensive lineup kind of situation? And so those are some things that we look at when creating that lineup, is what is the other team throwing, who do they have, what do they like to throw, what's their go-to, what's their closeout pitch, and then what kids do we have in our lineup that can kind of handle that. And it may not necessarily be a kid who, like, yeah, I can hit this pitch, but it's a kid who can read, hey, that she's going to throw a lot of balls, and so this kid's going to draw a lot of walks, and let's go ahead and put her in, against this team, because she can kind of see it really well and lay off the pitches that we need her to lay off.
Okay, okay, yeah, that's interesting. That's very interesting because I would have thought hey, we go keep the same lineup. Hey, you got to figure it out.
I think at some point, like especially if it's not working, it's just like, all right, let's just leave it. Let's just see what happens. Kind of situation.
Okay, so if just you just going through and maybe it's top bottom, but neither is
It's
producing, then you just leave it as it is.
yeah, that's the time where it's like, or it's even like, hey, let's give so and so a shot. We haven't seen what she can do, and let's give her an opportunity and see what she does with it.
No, okay, okay, and sometimes that be the time. The girls be ready when you give them that opportunity.
Yes, yes.
hmm So, as in your pitching rotation, how is it? At the collegiate level, do y'all have like a pitch count for the pitchers, or y'all just if they hot, you just let them roll?
So we do not have a pitch count, but we do monitor the number of pitches that our pitchers throw. That helps us kind of, we scrimmage some games on Sunday, and one of our pitchers was like at 125, I think, during that, and so she had bullpen within 2 days, and so that pitch count kind of helped me set up her bullpen. As far as I normally have, since I've started, normally have about 5 to 6 pitchers on my staff. That's just generally, since I've started coaching at the college level, just something that I felt like I wanted to do. I wanted to have a pitching staff. Because we do play 50 games in one season, and that's just regular season, and then you got postseason play after that. And so a lot of it comes down to, if you have one or two arms in your team, those one or two arms need to like be able to carry you throughout an entire 50 game season. So normally our playing schedule is a doubleheader on Tuesday, doubleheader on Friday, and then another doubleheader on Saturday. So it is a lot, and so we generally tend to have a pitching staff to kind of help alleviate that. And even if it's just a pitcher to come in and eat up a couple of innings to close out in certain situations, that's what we like to do. So that's kind of one of our things, and it's kind of been consistent with our roster at any given time to have. I don't think we've ever had less than 5 pitchers on our roster. Yeah.
Then at least you have enough. It all
Yes.
comes down to it because certain teams they might not have that many pitchers on their roster. I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
So you at the younger age, you want to talk about development. You want to make sure you're developing the kids to make it to the next level. Now, once they get to the next level, how much development do y'all focus on once y'all get to once they get to the next level, and how much are fundamentals incorporated in your practices?
Um, I would say we do fundamentals every day. Like I'm talking about dailies, like getting on your knees, working on kind of coming through the ball, and simple just line, like simple line throwing, like literally one half of y'all on second, half of y'all on third, and we're just throwing back and forth in a line. And that's something that, yeah, of course, when I coached the younger girls, it was a longer period of time that we did those things. But they know, like when we say dailies, this is what we're doing, and it's those daily fundamentals, and that's incorporated into every day that we're doing. It's like just the premise of softball, just catching and throwing, fielding the ball. Like that's what we're focused on. So it's super important for us to not get away from that. I think especially during season, we make it a point to make sure that we stay on that, because once we get going with season, there's a lot going on. We're traveling, we're still trying to lift weights, we're still trying to condition, they have finals and different things like that towards the end of the spring. And so we don't want any of that to get lost. So we put a big focus on that at throughout the entire season, but specifically in our spring season, just because there's so much going on. And a lot of it too, if especially when that fatigue sits in, if you have a solid fundamental base, that's going to help. That's going to help kind of make sure that your body is acclimated to do what it needs, what we need it to do.
Yeah, I agree. I agree because a lot of kids at this younger age they think that they're the best ever in the world. And it's like, when you get to college, the whole team is good, right? You better keep doing the simple things, right? It's been a few times like that coaches tell me like they've had parents that ask them like, why do we keep doing these simple things? Why do we keep doing this? And it's like, because you need to master it. Like, what do
They-
you mean?
They're never gonna go away.
Hmm.
Never. And
Yeah.
I one of the biggest things for us too, especially with any fundamental throwing drill, one of our biggest things, and we see it, it's kind of throwing pattern. That's super huge for us is we get, you see a lot of players that are prone to injury because they just developed bad habits early on
Hmm.
stemming from like a bad throwing pattern. And so we take a lot of pride in our throwing mechanics and making sure that we are throwing properly, whether it's infield, outfield, or fielder, catchers, whatever position you play, making sure that our throwing mechanics are solid to prevent injury, to prevent, oh, why does my arm feel like it's going to fall off kind of situation. It
Hmm.
shouldn't be that way. But it's that throwing mechanics and throwing pattern that we that is huge. And so that's one of the biggest things for especially girls who are younger. Get good throwing mechanics.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's like right now with my daughter, she's a corner. She played third base mainly. And I'm just trying to start her now from like throwing off the run, side arming a little bit, from the bunts and stuff. But it's like, man, it's tough because you see it and she like, ugh, ugh. And I'm like, you got to get it right,
Yeah.
Plan these teams and they bunting that ball. You got to
Yeah.
be able to throw off the run.
Yes. Yes, for
Mhm.
sure.
So what are some things that as a coach you look at when y'all recruiting players that like is it certain things and do y'all also when y'all going to recruit do y'all look at parents and the way they're acting?
I think, it was, there was a point in time where I kind of got I was an assistant college coach, but I was also coaching 16U select softball. And
Mhm,
so I think parents would kind of like they would act one way when I was coaching.
mhm.
And then when I went and changed shirts, they were like, oh, like their face changed. Like it's like, yeah, we do notice that because again, it's one of those things like, hey, you what you see at home is kind of how you act, right?
Mhm,
You're gonna pick up tendencies that you see at home. So I don't focus in on the parents, but especially if they're making themselves known, it's like, okay, that's interesting. Is that gonna translate to if you're playing in college a home game or if you're playing in college and not playing and sitting the bench kind of situation. So, but I don't hone in too much on the parents. When it comes to players, one of the biggest things for us is coachability and hustle. We get emails to come to games and say, "Hey, I play at this time and this time," and it's very rare that in the that we're able to sit for a full allotted time frame because there's multiple kids that we're out looking at. So if you ask me to come to your game, you may have one at bat and you may get no balls hit to you.
mhm,
So in a situation like that, I'm looking at things that are like, okay, did she stay active? Was she vocal? Like just talking. Um, be involved when you're not involved. Like, is she backing up? So if it's, if we're, making a play, are we covering bags? Are we, you may not be involved in the play, but are you standing and watching, or are you making yourself useful in case something happens? Because it's not every game that I'm going to come to and you're going to get something hit to you. Like I could be there for 20 minutes and you kind of like nothing came your way. But I'm still looking at, do you hustle on and off the field when you get in that dugout? What are you doing? Are you kind of focused on what's going in, going on? Or it's those things, those non-skill related things that I'm looking at if nothing happens while I go watch you play. We also like to recruit players who are just athletic because Um, we had a girl come in her sophomore year, I mean, or her our second year, and she was predominantly a second baseman, and we didn't need a second baseman, and we said, hey, if you want to get on the field, we can really use a third baseman, and we can work you there, and we can,
Hmm.
kind of get you that position. And she's like, I've never played third base in my life. And I said, well, we'll put in the work if you will. And she was first team all conference third baseman her freshman
Wow. Yeah, that's how you know you recruited an athlete then, right?
Yeah, so being
Mm.
being flexible, I think it's the players who come in like, yes, and we always have that conversation, and I give them the fall. I said, where do you want us to look at you? Where do you feel like you can compete for a spot? And if they say middle infield, then hey, then during the fall we work on middle infield. But we're also looking at other things too, looking at their athleticism, looking at their hustle, looking, at several things. And then sometimes at the end of the fall, it may be like, hey, I really think your fastest way onto the field might be to go to the outfield. I really do. And that we're very transparent when it comes to that.
No, okay. No, that's good because I've also just seen some players that I kind of knew, and you watch them and they play one position and then it's like, yeah, but I'm getting recruited for this position. Before I got to to understand, and it's like, if you're getting recruited for that position, why are you playing this position? Then you get to college and then you don't play neither one of those positions. It's like, what's going on. But once you, like, for me, I didn't know one thing about softball, like, not zero. I didn't had no intentions on ever being involved in softball, to say the less. I was all just a basketball person. The only sport I played was basketball. I didn't even like to be outside. I didn't want to be playing outside. And I definitely didn't want to just be sitting in the stands watching somebody play outside. But it didn't work out for me that way. My daughter, she started playing
Mhm.
baseball at 4 years old with the boys, and she got on her first like organized team at that same year, right before she turned 5. And then it just, yeah, it was been no hope for me to get and I wasn't that parent that was like, no, we not doing this, you got to go play basketball because I played. Like, just because at the end of the day, it's not my life, it's your life, so it's whatever you want to do. And that kind of made me start this podcast, because she loves it, right? And so it's like, well, I need to learn all the ins and outs of this stuff so I can help you out and save money by not going to lessons.
Yeah. No,
Mhm,
and I get it. Like I said, my daughter, she's actually way taller than me. She's
mhm,
lanky. She's only 11. She's left-handed.
mm.
Not like softball at all. So she is a dancer and a cheerleader, and that is what she enjoys doing. And hey, guess who is front row at those dance
Mhm.
recitals? So,
Yeah, yeah.
so
You gotta do what the kids love. I've seen personally, I've seen with my own eyes, like, a parent that they've played softball, maybe they was good at softball, and they just force these kids to play
Mhm.
softball. And it's like, it don't, like, it, I mean, I can't tell you how to do your life, but it don't work like that.
Yeah,
Not everybody it work like. Some people, hey, it happens, you play, your kids play, it goes through the generations, but not everybody are the same, is the same way. But I guess some people, they just have to learn the hard way.
yeah.
So I have a very sarcasm question,
Okay.
because it's in softball nowadays. It's really, it can get crazy at times, right?
Hmm.
And a lot of people, they like to choose teams just so they can win, right? They don't care if the kid's getting better or anything. They could be sitting on the bench, like,
Hmm.
they don't care as long as the team is winning, and they can do that wonderful post that Monday morning or Sunday night on Facebook. So as you was a recruiter, right? And you said it. And how many times have you ever asked a kid how many games have they won in 10U and 12U?
I don't ask what trophies they got, how many of those rings. I don't even know how much they are. I don't know what, $20. I don't straight up buy bulk kind of deal. So I don't ask that. Like that's one of those things. It's I think one of the biggest things is that if your daughter has a desire to play college sports, yes, you want that exposure, you want to get them in front of coaches and things like that. But if you're winning these tournaments or playing tournaments just to say, hey, you know what, we're probably the strongest team in this tournament, let's just crush everybody. Yeah, it, no. I don't think I've ever asked. You know, I think it's more so, hey, what's your GPA? What's your class rank?
Mhm.
What is your intended major? Primary positions, secondary positions, things like that. Those are kind of the top questions that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That and I figured I just had to, it's sarcasm question. That's why I
Oh,
said it, I just had to ask because it's just it gets to a point where, and I mean I don't if that's what you want to do, I mean, by all means, I'm not here to judge you or tell you what you want to do. But at the end of the day, if your kid is not getting better and they just kind of staying the same or digressing, then it's like what are you doing,
yes, yes, for
Mhm.
sure.
So how important is it to have a good coaching staff?
I think, from a parent perspective, I think one of the biggest things is, again, you want your child to be developed. And I think you want a coaching staff that's going to focus on getting them to the next level, whether that's,
Mhm.
if they're 10U, getting them to how are they going to best prepared for 12U? How are they going to best be prepared for 14U? How are they best going to be prepared for high school tryouts kind of situation? So I think, coaches that really focus on that developmental piece, that's going to be huge for me. It's not necessarily, they have this under their belt, or know this coach or know that coach, or anything like that. I just want to know that my daughter is going to be, from the time we start to the time we finish, is going to be better than when she started. It's
Mhm.
kind of one of those things, like, leave it better than you found it, kind of
Mm.
situation. And I
Yeah.
I want to know that, and have the confidence in my daughter's coach to know that that's what their intentions are.
Mhm.
From a head coach, I think one of the biggest things is, my assistant coaches, and having a good support system in that realm, is super huge. One of the biggest things for us is that we all enjoy what we do, and we are all in it because we love to do it. It's not like we are seeking multi-million dollar salaries. I mean, that's would be nice, but um, we are in it for a true love of what we do, and to help these girls kind of finish off their careers on a positive note. And so, with everything that we have to do and everything that's involved, having people that I know I can trust and say, hey, I can call up my assistant or my volunteer assistant and say, hey, we need to get this done. Hey, we need to get this done, or even to bounce ideas. So that's super crucial. And also too, their support systems at home, because there are times, and my boyfriend goes crazy because where it's 9:45 and I'm texting my assistant coaches on a Sunday night kind of situation. So it's one of those things that, I appreciate their support systems, because their wives are, hey, yeah, we know it's season, we know this is what it entails. So so I think from a coaching perspective, knowing that, we're, hey, we got each other's back, that's super important. So both from a, like I said, from a parent perspective, and then from an actual coach, and maintaining my coaching staff, I think two very crucial things is making sure that just like-minded, is very important.
Okay, yeah, that's good because it's always good to have somebody that's, if you have a random question throughout the day or night, like you said at night, then it's good that they'll answer you and not
Yeah.
just look. I'll text her tomorrow. I'll talk
Yeah.
about it tomorrow.
And no, but we're really good. We're like, hey, I'm not answering my phone on Sunday. Don't text me. Like we'll tell each other that, and it's like
Mhm.
we already know. Like okay, like hey, we're off balance. We need that work life balance back. So we need to take like yeah, don't call me, don't text me. I'm not gonna answer you. So yeah, we get along really well. So
Okay, that's good. It's always good to have a good coaching staff. I know that. So, do y'all have, as for your team, do y'all have curfew?
We highly suggest certain things. But again, they're adults. And we go over kind of expectations not only for our student athletes, our athletic director actually holds a meeting with all of our student athletes to kind of go over expectations. And then we have our own meeting for our softball players. And the biggest thing is that no matter what, we always tell them like it may not be the day after, it may not be 2 days after. I said, "But we always find out. Like, if something happens, we always find out." And so it's like, don't put yourself in certain situations. You have an opportunity here that not a lot of people get. If you look at the percentage of high school softball players, the ones that actually get to college, that number dwindles down tremendously. And so it's like you're in a spot that so many people wish that they can be. Like you got here. Now don't mess up that part of it. You work so hard, your family worked so hard, and they supported you to get you to this point, and now you have a little bit of freedom. Don't do anything that's going to put what you have here in jeopardy. And so we do stress that to them a good bit, but at the end of the day we want them to also have a balance because we don't want burnout for them. They've been playing select since 10U, 12U, 14U, and just like you said with your daughter, those tournaments, how many games do you play in a day, in a weekend? And then you go to college, and it's like, I only have to practice for 7 weeks in the fall. What's this?
Yeah.
So it's that realization that now there's some more freedoms and there's more free time, but you're a full-time college student as well. So
Mhm.
we talk to them a lot about ensuring that hey, this is a great opportunity that not everyone gets, and so just be smart about it. We're not naive to it about things that they do. When we travel, we have a little bit more control over it. We do room checks, when we know that we're playing the next day at noon. Hey, this is curfew. Room check is going to be at this time, kind of
Okay.
situation. So that's something that we do when we travel during season. But out of season and in the fall, it's kind of like just one of those situations that hey, make good choices. Make good
Mhm.
choices.
Okay, okay. That's no, that's understandable, because like you said, in the end of the day, they are adults, so you would think that they don't get in trouble, right? Like you are adults, and it's like a very small percentage of y'all here that's able to be on the softball team. So just yeah, make the right decision because to me, I like to look at it like a lot of college softball players. I don't think they realize like how big of role models they are to a lot of the young girls. A lot of young girls, they see some and they start going crazy, and they like, oh wow, like they know me. you know? It's like, but like yeah, man, it's good to have good role models. I always ask mine like when the season going on for sure, like okay, this is your team, who's on the team, what did they do in this game, and sometimes she surprised me, and she tell me exactly what they did and this and that, and sometimes she like, I don't know, so I'm like, hey, like I know y'all, you're a kid, but at the same time you want to get to where they at, so
Mhm.
you need to start paying attention a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah.
What advice would you give a young athlete that's going through recruitment?
I think one of the biggest things is ask a lot of questions and not just the same questions. We get ask the same questions at recruiting camps, kind of like, well, what kind of athlete are you looking for? So that's, I would say, really get some questions that are important to you.
Mhm.
I think questions that don't get asked a lot: do you have a travel roster? What's your roster size? Are there limitations for by your conference for the number of people that can dress out? I think that a lot of times we get student athletes who ask too many of the standard questions, and they're not really asking questions that they probably should be asking to figure out if that's a program that they want to be a part of. I think I would want to know if your roster size is 25 versus 40, because that's a thing. Do you know if that's a roster, situation at the
Mhm.
school that you're interested in? So I would say, ask those questions and find out, and then find the best fit for you. Um, Not go somewhere because your friend goes there, or hey, because this is, it may be, maybe it's a D2, and you know what, you could get more playing time at D3, kind of deal. So I would say make sure you find the best university regardless of the yet level, or even JUCO. Like if JUCO is the route, like there's nothing wrong with going to a 2 year
Nope.
versus a 4 year right off the bat. So I would say find the best fit for you. Don't just do something because, like, hey, because of the title, because of the label, and
Mhm.
because you can say that, hey, I'm going here. But if you go there and you're not unhappy, if you're unhappy, why do you want to be there? So
Yeah.
I would say just to do some serious research and ask the question. Ask not just the standardized questions, but ask the questions that are going to help determine if you can see yourself actually being there for 4 years and not
Mhm.
transferring. So
Yeah, that transfer portal is something else, ain't
it
it?
is. It is.
And you know what? It's like I like how you said it. Like, choose a school that fits you. Don't choose because of the title. And the bad thing about the softball these days is they coming up with these, these titles, these names, and it's names that some of them the team is it, right? But some of them they'll come up with the national name, and then they're playing all rec ball tournaments and C class tournaments, and just give their team a national name just so they can get players over there. And it's like, but you're not a national team, so why you have a national name, but that's another story there. That's
That's a whole nother podcast.
yes, because man, it's kind of getting out of hand with all the names. Like, you have to click on pictures to see what team it is, because some of the times you have no idea. You see the same thing, and then something like it's crazy. It's
It's
just
it's definitely to the point where sometimes if I'm gonna watch a player and she says like, "Hey, this is my team. We're gonna be at this tournament," and then I look at that tournament like, okay, there's seven that all have that name. Which one are you? North? Are you South? Are you national? Are you junior? Which high do you have? Because I need to know where to go.
oh yeah, like it's yeah. That's this new softball, man. It's just, but I mean, what can we do about it, right? Just deal with it.
Oh yeah.
What's some advice you would give your younger self, like when you first started coaching? Like, knowing what you know now, what's some good advice you would give your younger self?
It's okay to fail.
Mhm.
It's okay to fail. And you know what? It's gonna make you stronger in the long run. I think you learn from your mistakes, and it helps you get better. I there was times, especially when I was back playing, I was so hard on myself. I was so hard on myself, and it's one of those things that, you know what, at the end of the day, it's a game, and we got to stay in love with it. It's a game, and if you're going to just kind of beat yourself up about things, then that love is slowly going to kind of dwindle away. So I would definitely tell myself it's okay to fail, and you'll be all right.
Yep. I mean, that's just part of not only just your coaching, that's a part of the softball. Because man, batting three out of 10 is really good, in softball. But it's crazy that it's really good in the college and the pro part that they have. But you bat 3 for 10 in select. My goodness. It's a pretty bad thing if you do
Yeah.
that, man.
Oh, yeah.
But like, and then it's, as in, girls, women, they just don't like to fail. They don't like to do wrong. They wanna, y'all wanna do everything right, which is, yeah, it's fine. It's okay, but you just gotta know how to deal with failure when it comes around.
Yes, for sure.
Mhm. So my last question I have is, who would you like to see on the podcast? But your answer, you have to help me get them on the podcast.
Let's see, who would I like to see? Um, you know, because he's done a lot of things, very technical, uses hit tracks a lot. I would like to see Coach Trent Partridge from LSUA. I think he's done a really good job with the resources he's had over there with LSU Alexandria and kind of revamping kind of just the hitting mechanics and everything like that. And
Mhm.
he gets into the analytical side, the numbers side of it. And so I think that's definitely for those that are definitely interested in it.
Mhm.
It's yeah, he has a lot of good information to share. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well,
So
we'll
that's
get connected. Now, if you got his contact information, you can send it my way. You can let him know that I'll be bothering him a little bit.
yes, for sure. I will definitely do that, especially since, like you said, he's up there in Alexandria, Louisiana. um,
Okay.
kind of situation. And so he was in high school, and then I think took over the team 2 years ago. Yeah,
Okay.
yes. So he's done a lot over there. Yeah, and so I think he would be a good person to have on when it comes to the softball side of it. Should I have said Chad Steers?
Oh, Chad. So Chad, no, that's my guy. He's been on it when so I was all just audio at first, and he was on it then. But I'll be in Arkansas in on the first weekend of November. He's having the biggest tournament of the year, pretty
Gotcha.
much for our age group. So he'll be on it for sure.
Okay.
Chad will be on it for sure, for sure.
For that one, but yes, I definitely recommend Trent Partridge over there at the head coach at LSU Alexandria. So it's not necessarily a crosstown rival since he's in a different state. So
Mhm. Different state rival.
yes, different state rival. Trent actually won conference tournament, and he actually beat Our Lady of the Lake twice in conference tournament this past spring. So that
Mm.
was a big step for him and his program. So
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, right. Because yeah, that's a really big step.
Yes, I think after that loss, the Olu did not lose again, and so they went on to win it all the way. So I think they got a little fire under them from those two losses in conference. So
Mhm. Okay. Okay. Well, I want to thank you for giving me your time. I know this was been supposed to happen since before the hurricane, and we had to just keep rescheduling. But it was a pleasure to have you on and be able to get this done. Hearing from because I'm always mostly having the youth coaches on, so it was a pleasure to hear somebody from with the college background and the person that's doing it, doing the recruiting, know what it takes to make it to the next level. So I really appreciate you for giving me your time.
yeah, no, thank you so much. So if there's ever anything I can do, just let me know. Don't hesitate to reach out.
Okay, I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
All
You
right,
have
all right, all right. You
a
too. Have a good night.
bye.
All right. I want to thank my sponsors, Justin Womack. Get with him. Your team don't have a team chain. MVP chain. Justin Womack Garage Factory. Facebook, y'all go follow him.